Welcome, brothers and sisters, to the John Kev Show. I am Ja.
And I am Kev of the John Kev Show.
Yes, and we have a lot of information to discuss today, big brother.
Yes, sir. We're going to be discussing, the name of the show is Leading Astray. And we actually, I think it's a triple entendre.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about leadership in the Black community or the lack thereof.
Right.
And this should be a heavy topic.
Well, before we get started, I got to ask you a question, because sometimes I bring a subject matter to the show and then you bring a subject matter. We both bring various subjects, but you brought this one and you've been talking about this for a while. My question to you at the outset is, why did you want to talk about this subject about leaders leading us astray?
Okay. And one of the entendres that I was talking about, the definitions, is we are a stray people.
Okay.
Meaning that just like a stray cat or dog, we have no ownership in the Black community, responsibilities of taking leadership or control of our circumstances.
Okay.
And the government, we are our second-class citizens here in America, we as Black people. So we are like a stray.
Okay.
A stray animal, a stray. Now they may feed us, like you may have us, put milk out or something for the cats in the neighborhood,
right?
But you're not taking care of them.
Okay.
And that's how I see us. And where or why is that happening? Leadership.
I see. This is a very important subject matter, Brother Kevin. And this is awesome. We need to really get into it and kind of comb through it to see what we can come up with. I know we normally like to define what is a leader first when we talk about a leader.
And I'm glad you asked that.
Okay.
Because this is not rehearsed. We don't rehearse this. We just come up with a topic. You do your thing, and then I do my thing and what I want to talk about. Okay. So my question, or to answer that question, what does it take to lead? And the basic answer is the following. You need someone to follow you. That's all it takes for someone to lead or to be a leader, is someone else willing to follow you.
I see.
You could be an idiot. And we've seen that in this country.
Okay.
We've elected idiots.
Right.
And so if you have someone willing to follow you, then you are leading someone.
One of my friends told me that when I was studying for this, he said that nowadays all it takes to be a leader is a gaming chair, a microphone, and just equipment, because a lot of people just set up and they start talking and people begin to follow them because they have beautiful equipment and they sound well on social media. But we don't really look into what does that entail. Now, you said leaders are misguiding and have misled us.
Right. Well, some leaders have.
Okay. For the most part, we are people that have been misled. So I definitely agree with that. And I think we need to dive into being misled. Why do people have this kind of power to take us away from what we should be getting into? And Kev, I want to let you talk too. I thought about it, and I thought this is probably one of the things I've been searching for. In other words, the social dysfunctionality that's going on in our communities. It's because a lot of us have been so misled, and we're just going on what we've been taught. And a lot of the things that we've been taught when it comes to people who call themselves leading us, they have taken us astray. They've taken our minds off of what our mind's supposed to be on. And I think that's something that we need to look at, because a lot of people, they don't mean any harm, but the harm is being done, brother.
Right.
And we have to talk about that. Okay.
Now let's define astray. I've said it. You said it. So what do we mean by we've been led astray?
Well, now, people going off course, so to speak.
And astray, the definition is actually going off the correct path.
Okay.
Well, so we are off the correct path, and we know we're off the correct path if we just turn and look at our circumstances. There's killers in our neighborhood.
Right.
Now, I'm not talking about the normal gang members or something, murderers. I'm talking about poverty.
Okay.
Poverty kills dreams. And most of the Black communities in America are in poverty.
Yes, sir.
Where families are operating under the poverty line. Poverty kills dreams, and dreams, if you don't have dreams, you don't reach goals.
Well, if a leader is talking, Brother Kevin, if a leader is talking and saying that thing which is supposed to liberate the masses or whomever is following them, wouldn't you think that the leaders would be dealing with the various things that we're talking about to help our people?
Or if they believe in solutions that actually don't work, and we are following them with the solutions that they are submitting to us, and they're telling us these things will work, and we're following that, and then we're not finding solutions or the correct ways to correct the problems that we're having.
And Kevin, I think a lot of us are hurting. We've been through so much as a people, and we're hurting so badly. What a lot of us do is we're looking for someone. You know, we had the great hope with Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and W.B. Du Bois, you know, all of the brothers and sisters who have come before us. And because of what has happened to us, a lot of us, we're looking for someone, and whomever has the vernacular skills or the articulatory skills, people deem them as leaders. So they follow them because these people can speak well on a microphone, but yet these are the very people that we're talking about in many instances that have done our minds disservice.
Well, let me submit this to anyone watching also. When I said that all it takes to lead someone is to have followers. Gangs have leaders. Mm-hmm. You don't have to. Now, when you talk about a good leader, mm-hmm. you could come up with all these attributes that you think they should have. Mm-hmm. They should have ethics, morals, mm-hmm. and they should have the ability. Now, Lao Tzu, a great Chinese philosopher, he said the greatest leaders, you will never know their actions or the extent of their actions in the midst of their leadership, mm-hmm. because their followers will be the ones that are shining. Now, what he's saying is as a leader, you put your followers in a position because everyone has different talents.
Right.
So if I'm leading, if I say, okay, I'm going to lead organizations, mm-hmm. you may have great organization skills. Mm-hmm. You may be a great orator. So if you speak better than I do, why should I sit up there and try to be in front of the microphone? Mm. I would let you talk and everyone could say, okay, man, that organization or these brothers are going off, and I have someone else doing something else in this movement. Mm-hmm. A leader is the head of an organization or country or whatever. You put people in places to succeed or help the movement succeed. If you are a leader and everyone is looking at you for everything, mm-hmm. then you are not doing a good job.
Right.
Because all they're doing is following you mm-hmm. and not the movement. It should be different talents. We all have different talents. Mm-hmm. And a great leader, as Lao Tzu put it, will let the followers shine. Everyone that wants to be part of that organization or that movement, everyone will have a job. And if your job is whatever, and you can do a great job at it, everyone's going to, if you look at the Nation of Islam, mm-hmm. back when Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X, people believed that didn't know much about the nation, that Malcolm X was the leader of the Nation of Islam. Mm-hmm. Why? Because he was a fiery speaker. He was a great motivator. He was even a better speaker than the leader of the organization. Mm-hmm. And so that's what a great leader do. Elijah Muhammad put him in a position to talk to the people. I see this in you, and I'm going to bring it out.
Wow, that's awesome. That's true. And what I'm seeing today is diametrically opposed to what you just gave, which was a perfect illustration of great leadership. Because many people today that call themselves leaders, they're browbeating the people. All they want to do is disseminate information, because a lot of people love knowledge, and they think that because I know more about the solar system or whatever subject that I'm some kind of great leader, but they don't have the skills that it takes. And a lot of leaders themselves has been misled.
Right. And that's another thing. That's a great thing right there, because I had a discussion with a friend of mine, and my thing is, they say, and it was like, well, this organization, they teach lies. Okay. I'm like, well, it's not a lie if they believe it. Mm-hmm. You know, they may be teaching something that's not true, mm-hmm. but that doesn't mean that they're teaching a lie. If I say, well, brother, where was you at yesterday? You'll say, well, I was up here and I met with this brother Mandrea. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay. And someone else asked me, well, you know, last time you talked to Jahi, you know, what was he doing? I said, well, he was talking to Mandrea. Now, you may have made a mistake when you told me, and you may have been talking to Mandrea. They said, well, Mandrea been gone for, you know, he been out of town for 3 weeks, you know, and all you did was just, you said Mandrea, but you meant someone else.
Right, right.
So that's not a lie. Mm-hmm. And you may have believed what you were talking with, and I may have believed you, mm-hmm. but I'm not trying to deceive. A lie is deceit. So they're trying to deceive people.
Oh, yeah.
And there are some people that believe in what if I look at President Obama, people ask me about Obama. I believe that Obama believed what he was doing, but it may not have been a thing that was going to help us.
Exactly.
I believe Martin Luther King believed what he was saying and doing, but it may not be, he may have misunderstood or underestimated who he was dealing with. Mm-hmm. He had good intentions,
right?
But those people that you just wanted to get to walk down the street with and go to their establishments and think that if they actually got to know you and they'll respect you.
Right.
No, it wasn't that.
Wow. That's pretty good. That's
good.
Like
I said, to lead, you just need followers.
Right.
And there are some good leaders, but are we willing to follow? Because a lot of times we want to pick and choose. Oh man, that brother is talking about doing some work.
Yeah.
I just want to give $20. And
I gotta piggyback off of that, because that was where I was going to when it comes to good leadership. Because many good leaders, we challenge people. Okay, we challenge people to action, and a lot of people don't want that. They and this is what's so sad about us as a people. For the most part, when we get older, all we want to do, and I keep saying this, and I'm going to stay on this, because not only in my own family, but I see people that get older, and all they want to do is isolate themselves. They complain about the system. They gripe and murmur about the system, but they're not willing to do anything to bring forth any type of change. Right. And that's why I'm saying most of us who call ourselves leaders or what have you, there has to be an end goal. There has to be a mission. There has to be a purpose. But who's asking those questions when I join the group? Who's asking, what are we really doing? What is this all about?
And I think that's great. That's a great perspective on it, because I think that we want to pick and choose the movement like it's a club or something that fits us. Or I like the music they play here. I'm looking for something in my age group. And any leader, especially in the Black community, we should be looking for people to take us out of these conditions. Wow. And they should be speaking about things that will take us out of this condition. If they're telling you to go to the ballots, the voting booths, and we've been going to the voting booths for the last 60 years, and we're looking at our conditions and our conditions are not changing, then that means that type of talk is not going to work. Wow. But see, a lot of people, they will take the easy path, the path of least resistance, and that's something easy to do. Like I said, I'd rather just give $20. I'd rather just go hit the ballot box and sit back and let somebody else save us. There's no one else that's going to save us but us. So it's going to, what you said is, a leader should be challenging. It should be a lot of work, because a lot of work needs to be done. Right. So you're not going to fix, if this house was falling apart and it was in terrible condition, I can't say, well, let me find an easy way to fix it. Wow. I got to do a lot of work. If it's a lot of work that needs to be done, then we need somebody that's going to be talking about doing a lot of work.
I'm going to say something right now that's controversial to a lot of people, but I'm going to say it because we deal with the truth on the John Kev show. I'm going to use an example, just like school education. We're going to be talking about that coming up, but just like education. Now, we complain about the educational system 24/7, but I'll be damned if half the world isn't having back to school giveaways, giving out backpacks and paper and pencils, which we should be trying to tear down the establishments that's oppressing us. And I know they don't mean any harm, so don't mistake me. But everybody and their mama's giving kids paper and pencil and backpacks to go back to an institution that we gripe about every year. This is astounding and astonishing, because to me, that's a contradiction. And I know that people say, well, we want to help them. But if you're complaining, why can't we get together and build what we have to make sure that our children know?
That's work, man. That's work. I mean, like I said, a lot of people, and I'm not just going to put it on us, because it gets deeper than that. If the system has us strung out, that we have to go to work. I know I was talking to someone, and they were telling me about being a single mother and raising their kids, and they had to work 2 jobs. So if you're having to work 2 jobs just to survive, then you don't have the energy or the time to say, well, I'm going to take on this other great task. And the system is doing this to us. Wow. So, I mean, when we have to, if we want to correct our issues, I know a lot of people used to say, we don't have the leaders that we had before in the past. Well, why? That's the question. Why? And there is a lot of reasons, but we need to look no further than a mirror, because a leader is, now some people say, well, you're born a leader. And like I said, but poverty kills dreams. So you may have someone that was born a leader, and before they're able to develop into a leader, they have to do other things to survive. That, like, poverty in our communities is a big problem. So sometimes you can't sit here and worry about, well, I want to create an organization, I want to lead our people, if you're hungry or you need to help your mom out. And then they create avenues for us to get us off the path astray. Okay, well, I got to sell drugs. I got to do I got to do what I can as a 15-year-old, 16-year-old. You don't have the knowledge or you don't want to take on the responsibility of leading a people. Now, if we were in better conditions, like other people in this country, and they were able to have a full belly and go to a great school education-wise and all of these things like that, and go to college, learn about the world, then those leaders will be developed. But we're not developing leaders or good leaders. We're developing leaders, but some of them are gang leaders. Some of them are, selfish leaders, worried about money, worried about positions and things like that. Those people have always been around, but we are not creating good leaders for our community.
Okay.
To help us out.
That's so true. And one of the things that I think about when I think about the leaders in the past, those great leaders, is they realized that we were all in a system of racist ideology.
Right.
And they dealt with racism. They didn't just get a few people and want to have like a little clique and talk about things that are unrelated. And so racism is something that affects all of us, African Americans, blacks, whatever you want to call us in the United States. But a lot of people that call themselves leaders, they don't address that issue at all. And to me, you cannot be an effective leader if you don't deal with the social problems that you're talking about now. Gangs, drugs, violence, poor housing, no economic education. All this has to be thrown in the pot. But unfortunately, many of us, we don't know what to look for. If you say, why are you going to this place? What is that leader offering you? They're going to tell you they went because their parents went, or because it's a fad, or because it's something like you mentioned, they may play good music, or it's a social club. But actually getting things done, this is why we're at a stagnant point in our lives now as a people.
And I want to piggyback off of that. When we're looking for leadership, like Lao Tzu said, a good leader will put his followers in a position. If I look at the Black Panther Party, the founding members, Huey P. Newton and
Bobby Seals and
Bobby Seals and all these people like that. If you look at their movement at that time, they had people all over. They had Fred Hampton, who was a leader within his own community at a young age and doing things, and he saw another organization. That doesn't mean he stopped doing what he was doing. He became part of something bigger, but that you keep doing what you're doing. So all the things, like if we're looking for one, instead of looking for a leader, we're looking for a savior. And a savior is going to correct all our problems. No, that person is going to lead us. He may instill some values. He may be a great speaker, but he may not be the most educated person. And he will have somebody, like in our government, we have, presidents that's idiots, and they have a secretary of education, someone that's done a lot in education that you can go to help solve our education problem. Now, they're not trying to solve our problems, but I'm saying if we have any kind of leadership, they don't have to be everything to do everything for us. Put somebody in a position that has a great education or historic, not educated in this system, because this system is systemic racist.
Exactly.
And it's meant to lead us astray.
See, and another thing too that we need to bring out is if a person is a true leader does what is called self-evaluation. In other words, I look at myself and I say, Brother Kevin, I need to change in these areas, and I'm improving. I'm working on those things, Or when you say, well, Jahi, I noticed some things going on in your life and you share some constructive criticism, then I should be able to say, you know what, brother, in all sincerity and honesty, I'm going to work on that, and also a good leader deals with improvement. We see a lot of us look at leaders as gods. And I think that has really destroyed us, because even when these clowns and these jesters, when they do wrong and you catch them with their hand in the cookie jar, their followers are going to attack you because you're bringing this out. And that's a damn shame. And I'm just getting worked up because we're led astray. And it's like, we've got to come to some kind of solution where people realize that just because a man or a woman is in front of you and been in front of you for many years, that doesn't mean that that person is having your best interest at heart.
Right.
And that's crazy.
And if we develop our children, if we are developed at that point, we should be able to recognize that. See, it's nothing in the universe that goes void. If you dig a hole, that earth that you took that hole out of will be someplace else and it will build up someplace else. You take a positive, you create a negative, that positive will go someplace else, and vice versa. If you create a negative, it's going to be a positive someplace else. What the system has done is stripped our communities of the education of poverty. They know what they're doing. They're killing our abilities and our leadership. They're doing it in a subtle way. And now we're looking around like, where's the leaders? First of all, where's the first place you should have leadership at?
At home.
At home, your parents.
At home.
Now, if you're in a predicament where your parents are not, you don't control where you're born,
right?
Or who your parents are, but the community can alleviate a lot of that. I remember Sister Soldier when she came on the Donahue show, and it's something that affected me when I was a young man. I was in California looking at this show, and this young sister was sitting up there with Cornel West and, going head to head with all these senators and all these people. And she was the most powerful one on the panel.
Yeah.
There's a panel. And she said she got that. She didn't get it from home. She got it from the community. She named the guy, and she said he taught us self-value. He taught us who we were, why we are in these conditions, and everything. She ran it down. She pointed at Cornel West. She said, "You didn't teach me that."
Right.
And she was like getting on the brothers, like, your programs ain't teaching me that. But she was given an opportunity by somebody in the community.
Wow. What you just said, Kevin, I've been knowing you for a while, and I've been doing broadcasts with you, but that was so profound. That was one of the best statements that you will probably ever make in your life. That was awesome, because you're telling the truth. Because a leader, what she's saying is basically that a leader is going to build character.
Right.
See, a leader ain't going to kiss your butt because you giving money to the organization. A leader ain't going to kiss your butt because they're afraid of you, because of your affluence and esteem. A good leader talks about virtues, values, character building. And a lot of us aren't talking about that. All we want is money or sex. All we want is something that's going to appease our physical body. And that's a problem in our communities. And this is why we are being misled, because a lot of us as individuals, now we're talking about us as if we're sheep in a sense,
right?
As if we don't have the ability to discern and make decisions. But Kevin, if you tell me something that I know is not true, and I continue to stay in that situation, then there's something wrong with me. And I often say it, and I believe it now, we are a sick people, many of us,
right?
Because the things that you and I are talking about, and others who deals with these issues, a lot of us we're not interested in that. We don't want this, Kevin. We want the stuff that we have been growing up on. And we may say, well, it's because I was a boy or a girl, and I've been doing this all my life, but I'm not buying that anymore. Because you know right from wrong. And even if your mind has been dissuaded and persuaded in some areas, if I tell you that you got to give me $100 and you're going to live to be 100 years old, that doesn't make sense. But this is what people are doing. And this is why it's twofold. We're misled because we don't want to look at us as the subject is. We're out in the cold, man.
Right.
We are out in the cold, and we won't put on the coat. We won't go in the house because the mind is gone.
Yeah. Or you're looking at someone offering you a jacket when you should be, you should be having your shelter. You should be able to build your house or but someone else is saying, okay, let's grab these bricks, let's grab this wood, let's build our own house. And then you got somebody giving you a coat, just saying, okay, you cold.
Yeah.
And that's not going to solve your issues because you're relying on someone else to give you warmth instead of building that within yourself. And then when you say we don't have the leadership in our community, then you have to look at yourself because we have to further what they say, you reap what you sow, right?
That's right.
And if you're not happy with the harvest, then you have to look at what you did to fertilize those seeds and nurture those seeds to create the harvest that you want. And if we're looking around right now and saying that there's no leadership, then what should you do? If you're trying to bake a cake and you say, okay, all the ingredients I need to bake a cake, man, I don't have no eggs, I don't have no milk. What you gonna just bake the cake without those ingredients? Go get those ingredients to do what you need to get done. And that's what we need to do. We need to look around instead of complaining about who's out being a leader.
Right.
If we don't have it, then create leaders. Start creating leaders. Look at yourself and say, you know what? We don't have leaders because we haven't created any leaders.
And why do we think that everyone that's in the Black community or African American community, why do we always think that because they're in a quote unquote leadership position that they're good?
That they have our best interest in mind.
Yeah, a lot of these people are con men. They're pimps. These people are charlatans. And all they want is people's money. They want your time. And most of all, they want your mind. and your mind is valuable to you. But many of us have given our minds to these people, and then we act as if we're zombies. We can't think for ourselves. Or we have to say, if you were my leader and someone challenges me, the first thing I'm going to say, instead of saying, well, hey, that's a good proposition, let me think about that, let me cogitate on that, I'm going to say, let me call Brother Kevin. We'll see what he got to say.
Now, I met a lot of brothers and
that's a shame, man.
When you have a leader or some brothers that's following this person wholeheartedly, everything that they say and do, then they're quoting this person, and then you challenge them personally. Okay, well, you said this. Well, but they don't have an answer because they got it from someone else. Even if somebody tell me their pastor said this, or the pastor said that, and then I start questioning, then they don't have an answer because you're being a puppet. Someone else is speaking and your mouth is moving, and so you don't have anybody challenges you. Now, challenging someone on anything is a great thing. Right. Some people get upset. They're like, and it's like, no, if you challenge me, I love that. Okay, well, Kevin, you believe this? Yeah, and this is why I believe it, because then you may give me something more, and I say, you know what? That's something I could think about, or that's a great question. I don't have an answer for that, and maybe I'm gonna think about where my stance is.
Brothers and sisters, I'm telling you now, this brother Kevin, he's the one who brought this topic up. So I know y'all want to throw knuckles and bomb the place and take gunshots at us, but this is a subject that we have to have. One of the things that we do want to turn to is a lot of us have become assimilationists because our leaders have done that. See, our leaders have told us to go into a burning house. And so we go into the burning house, seeing the damn house is on fire, and we still go into the house thinking that we're going to be unscathed. When we come out burnt, or if we make it out and our clothes are just ragged, we say, oh, wow, whew, that was a close one. You shouldn't have been in the house to begin with.
Right. And the thing that you said about the burning house, segue into Martin Luther King, one of his last speeches. He said, I fear that I've been leading my people into a burning house. He was looking at America. He was growing. See, a leader is just like a person that's not, okay, this is it, and I'm here, and I don't grow. A leader should be growing. And that's what Martin Luther King was doing. And he started seeing the things that he was trying to do. He started changing. And this is why it was vital for his assassination to happen, because if he was changing and he was seeing things see who he was dealing with for who they were, one of those speeches that he gave when he was in the church, and you could see the stained glass windows behind him, he had a reporter talking to him, and he was talking about that. He said, I fear I've led my people in a burning house. He was trying to assimilate, and like I say, he misunderstood who he was dealing with. He gave them more credit than they deserved. And the same with Malcolm X. You see, Malcolm X, he made constant growth. And he was like, understanding you live in life. And what we should do, like if someone starts to attack a leader, like you said, okay, if I'm following Jahi and Jahi got some great information about whatever, if someone got questions or they want to challenge it, I should sit back and listen, because you maybe, okay, well, this is the person I'm following, instead of getting mad. Don't question him, or blah blah. You can't do that.
Well, you can't have that kind of attitude when it comes to challenging one, because first of all, we see every disagreement as, I don't want to be bothered with you, I'm gonna pack up my stuff and I'm gonna go. If you and I disagree on this broadcast, I'm gonna call you to later on this week and say, we're not gonna do the broadcast anymore. So because you challenged me, or you basically pulled the covers off me to show I was a fraud, instead of me saying, you know what, Kevin, I got to stop that. I'm going to call you and say, I'm not going to bring my computer. We're done. And this is
take my ball and go home. Next week, y'all, it's going to be the
it's the psyche, though. It's the psyche. When we allow people to get into our psyche, our soul, when we allow people to get into our spirits, they can wreak havoc in our lives, and we don't even realize it because we're so in love. It's like a person who's in love with a movie star or an entertainer or an athlete. You don't even know that person. You know nothing about them, but you will fight me tooth and nail when I say something about one of these gatekeepers or one of these con artists, and you're so engrossed in loving them that you're going to attack me and talk about my mama because I'm talking about a person that you don't even know.
Now, what I was talking about, what I was getting into, that very point, when you take away something, it's not going to be a void. Something else is going to be in that position. So now when you take away these moral, ethical leaders that mean us well, that's talking about doing real work, and they're not there in the community, what's going to happen? we're going to follow something else. We're going to start following entertainers. We're going to start following singers. We're going to start following these celebrities and these women that's running around loose, because these are people also being pushed in the forefront.
Right.
And they're going to start leading our kids and leading them astray.
Yeah.
And we're going to have kids emulating them. So-and-so got all these tattoos all up in their neck and stuff. And this woman is walking around barely dressed. And all. These are going to be the people that we'll follow. Because like I said, a leader is, all it takes to be a leader is someone willing to follow you.
Yeah.
You don't, and we're not going to sit there and scrutinize them and say, no, I like the way she's singing. I like this song. What's wrong? Then you start defending these people.
Right. Defending them like you are related to them, like you would your own parents. If someone talked about your parents, you're ready to fight, defend them. And this is a thing that goes back to what we're saying now. When the mind is gone, when the mind has been damaged, when the mind has been taken by people who you trusted, people who you loved, or people who you just give your whole soul to, they can do things to us that we don't even realize, brother. Right. And that's sad.
They can lead us astray.
That's exactly what has happened, because a lot of people, again, people don't want this kind of discussion. They want the discussion that's going to make them feel good, a discussion that's going to let them lie and wallow in mud and dirt. People that's selling dope in our communities, instead of saying, hey, this is not good. We want to be like that person.
And then see, if when you have these rappers or people that say, I used to sell drugs, or they glamorizing their lifestyle, right? And then if you say, well, that's not right, well, they're gonna say, well, I had to do it. No, you didn't have to do it. you had a choice. Exactly. You had a choice. Exactly. Now the other choice may have been harder. It may have been doing more work. But if you look at the ethical, the morals of it, you're killing your own people for money, for dimes, for nickels. So when you're doing that, of course, if I say, well, yeah, I did this in the past, but I have to do it.
Right.
Call them out on that. No, you didn't. I mean, what I should say, what? Now that I've grown, I see that I made mistakes, I shouldn't have done these things.
You starting something, Brother Kevin. You're starting something. Depending on what happens here, because we have a whole lot to say, and if we don't get it all done today, we can always come and do a part 2. That's how we're going to do it.
We're going to do this.
We're coming back next week, so just mark your calendars, because we want to give you 2 broadcasts a month. So this is the first one. If we're gonna come back next Saturday at 1:00. So just mark your calendar. We're going to come back and deal with some issues. The number here is 361-405-6111. Again, 361-405-6111. This is the John Kev Show, and this is what we do. We talk about issues that's related to us as a people. We talk about application, what we can do. We challenge those who have misled us, but then we also say we have a role to play, or we're going to continue to be in that role of being misled and acting like we're animals that we can't think for ourselves.
Right. I have a comment on Facebook from a couple of people where Richard D. Mitchell says, sometimes you don't need to use your voice to lead people. People will follow due to your actions and how you carry yourself and how you delegate and uplift others, putting people in a position to be successful, grow, and develop towards a common goal or movement. I appreciate that comment.
Yeah,
that's what all our leaders should be. Anyone that's leading our people or call themselves a leader of our community, or that you're choosing to follow, the end of it, the goal that they should have is the upliftment of our people.
That's right.
Not the upliftment of your organization or anything like that. It should be, the end goal should be the upliftment of our people. What is it doing? A lot of times when you got your show and I got my personal show, and a lot of times when I attack something, I don't attack the people. Act like I'm attacking the individual, the celebrity. And I'm saying, in my mindset, and I tell people, we're on 2 different levels of thinking about this. I don't care about this person got great music,
right,
and or the things they did in the community. I'm looking at the influence that they're having on our people, because that's the end game.
Exactly.
So if whatever it is, if you're a leader in our community, the end game should be the upliftment and empowerment of our people.
Wow. You guys need to send this brother a friend request to the Blueprint. He's on Facebook, the Blueprint. Send him a request. Kevin Lewis.
Right.
Then also I have one that's called Cries Womb. Send me a request, because we do this. This is not something we just do and then we go and that's it. We live what we talk about. Saying that, we do have a person on the line. I'm gonna go ahead and bring them on. Go ahead, call. What's your question or your comment?
You guys are doing a good show. My comment is about our leaders. Now, I know you guys have been talking about leaders and what they're not doing, and I agree. Let me ask you 2 questions. Number one, the leaders that we do see on TV and on newspapers and magazines, my question is, are they really leaders? Because they've been compromised and they're not going to talk about and discuss some of the things that should be talked about because they're afraid to lose their money, houses, etc. My other question is, the people, like you said, it should start from home leadership. But for a person who does want to become a leader, they may not have the finances. And when they call themselves becoming a leader, most people aren't going to trust them. They're going to look at them under eye instead of the politicians and the other guys. So could you just explain why it's so ham-handed and backwards?
Okay. I'll take the first question. I'll let Kevin do the second, or I'll just dive into the second one, let him piggyback off of this. But again, when we say that people aren't really leaders, I think they really are leaders. The question is, what kind of leader are they? Right. That's what we want to know, because, you know, you have a lot of people who are following other people, and these people that are in that position over the group of people, they're up to no good. They're leading the people astray. That's what our subject is. And they've led the people astray for many, many years. And so, yes, it's not a matter of they're not leaders. They are leaders, because if you look at their followers, that's telling you now that a leader is someone that's over a group of people, a committee, or what have you. And this is what they're doing. We just have to make sure that these leaders are exposed and also give the people some alternatives because that's what the people need, the alternatives. The second question, what was the second question again? I'm tripping. What was the second question?
The second question was a person that wants to become a leader, like as far as from start from home, once they try to, I guess, put it on social media, what have you, that they are trying to become a leader, they're going to look at them as, they're going to look down upon, people are going to look at them under-eyed and think they're up to no good, instead of giving them the benefit of the doubt, and then they don't have the cash to really do change as much as they will want to change.
Okay. I'm going to jump into that. I appreciate the caller for calling in. Now, I remember something. I was a young man, probably early 20s, and I heard on one of these rappers, KRS actually, and there was a guy speaking. He said, Martin Luther King on the corner with a bullhorn without any followers. It's just a dude making noise while people driving by. Basically, I'm paraphrasing. So what I'm saying is Martin Luther King wasn't rich. Malcolm X wasn't rich. A lot of great leaders wasn't rich. But if they have a great message, if you have a great message and you're part of a movement and the people are willing or wanting and needing that movement, you're going to have people with money that's going to start following you. You don't have to have everything built for you right then. The inspiration and motivation is thought, speaking, you know, and you may not even be a great orator, you know,
that's true.
But if you could type it out, you could have somebody else, you know, work. And that's what I was saying, work with other people. You know, you might say, you know what, I'm not good at talking to a lot of people, but I have a good idea. And if you friends, you know, and circle and give them the opportunity to speak about your movement. I may start the movement, had an idea. Huey Newton, you know, Bobby Seals, they started a movement, but they wasn't the main speakers. They had someone else. They had the Stokeleys, you know, other people that spoke, and that was great speakers. So you don't have to do everything and be everything in a movement that you're creating. And if people are not willing, and this is another thing, if people are not willing to follow you, don't let that dissuade you, you know, because you got to create it. You got to create it. And people don't want to do work. They're going to look at the work that they have to do. A lot of us, because we are people that have been led astray. So this is the next part. How do you become a leader in leading the people that have been led astray? Everything you're saying to them is foreign or difficult.
I'm gonna let the caller go because that was a couple of nice challenges, so I didn't want to just hang up on it. But thank you for the call, brother. We're gonna let you go at this time. We appreciate your information. Now, what I wanted to say, Kevin, is what a lot of people don't realize is leadership is about one thing, and it's more than one thing. But I'm saying the main thing. Leadership is about liberation. You know, you have
it should be.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, right. It should be. So we're looking at theoretically and ideally and practically. But that's what we're trying to say. When you're looking for an organization, when you're looking for an institution, you have to look for what is called liberation. My mind has to be freed of that which is entangling me. And I'm telling you, brother, and I keep sounding like a Debbie Downer today, but I'm going to be honest because that's where we are. A lot of us don't want this kind of stuff. You can talk to you blue in the face. I can talk to my glasses fog up. And because the mind has been misled for so long, they can't even see the difference into this man is trying to help liberate my mind.
What I chuckled at is I remember when you said that, I thought about it was a panel or something like that, and it was Jesse Jackson and Farrakhan. I don't know if you've seen that video, and Jesse Jackson came up there with that rah rah. We winning. He said, we winning. These little things are happening. We're actually winning. And Farrakhan came behind him and like, boy, if anybody telling you we winning, they the head of a snake that we need to check. And he tore that down. And he the brothers on the panel with him. Right. But he didn't like the message that he was telling people. You know, but that rah rah, I'm part of the system and the system is working for us. And he tore him. That's why I chuckled.
Okay.
But the whole thing about trying to lead a people that's been led astray, you have to understand who you're dealing with. This is why I love Malcolm X as a leader, because he understood where we were at and why we were in these predicaments that we were in. He didn't talk down on us for drinking or becoming alcoholics. He understood that someone that's part of a plan. So you have to meet people where they're at, and you can't be upset with people because they're not listening or they're not ready, but you still put it out there. Some people are not going to want to hear this, and they're going to have this idea that, you know, apple pie and hot dogs is the best thing for our people, and that's soul food for black people, and voting and all this stuff, and being a patriot and all these things like that. And then when reality hits, you can't unring a bell. What we're talking about, it's going to be in your mind. And things somebody else may be talking about, and you're going to start to see reality. You know, I have friends that I say, and they coming around, and then they'll start talking to me, and I say, yeah, I remember we was talking about this a couple of years ago. And he'd be like, oh, man, here you go. And it's like, yeah, you know, I'm not trying to say I told you so. But you believed in it at that time.
And if you knew anything about your ancestors, the people that we're talking to and about to encourage you is this. You look at people like Fannie Lou Hamer. You know, you look at Ida B. Wells. These are people who sacrificed their lives. They knew that it was a cost to pay. And a lot of us don't want to pay that cost because we're afraid to die. We're afraid of pain. We're afraid to sacrifice. We don't know what it means to sacrifice. So therefore, if it's not conducive for us and our immediate family, if it doesn't make us feel good, if it doesn't make people think that we're more than we are, then we don't want to have anything to do with it, Kevin.
And I'm going to ask you this then.
Sure.
What would make me want to be a leader sacrifice if I'm one of these gatekeepers, like so-called gatekeepers, and I start speaking out and doing anything or making some type of protest, and then the black community that I'm protesting for turn their back on me when I get lynched?
You must be a prophet. You really must be a prophet. And the reason I said that is because you're talking to me. You're talking to me, and what you just said, you didn't know, but that's exactly what I deal with. And it's not like I'm this martyrdom or anything like that. But you're right, because people, they look at me and I have a school and I'm not getting the help that I need, but I'm not going to fold up shop. I'm not going to say, well, you know what, just because no one's helping me, I'm going to stop doing this, because I know it's necessary. And maybe when I leave this earth, for whatever reason, if it continues to grow or even if it disperses, then that's not something that I'm concerned with. I'm concerned with my people. And I don't care come hell or high water, whether you or anyone else says, you know, I'm not going to do this, brother. These people are no good. These people aren't going to learn. These people are going this way. I got to do it because it's incumbent upon me. When you have divine principles living in your life, wild horses are not going to stop you. And that's the problem. If someone can tell you, Kev, you need to stop doing this broadcast because ain't nobody looking at us. And if you go, oh, okay, well, I'm going to stop. Then that goes to show, then you must have been a weak leader. Because a strong and a strong man, they don't care if it's, as they normally say in certain settings, if it's just one person that's interested in what's going on, they're going to do it because there's a calling on their life, brother. And a lot of us don't realize that.
And even I'm gonna piggyback off of that. Someone may see you talking about your school or years down the line that you started the school, and it may go however far it's going to go. And somebody else may say, well, I got that idea from the Liberation Academy. And he may be a 2-year-old kid right now. And wherever you go 10 years from now, he may see that and see that you did that. And then he may want to start his own thing and it may blow up. But you were the one that inspired him and motivated him to do it. If he is nurtured, we have to nurture. We can't throw the seeds on the concrete and then be looking for the fruit from the tree. You know,
it's just like our ancestors. I think about many of them that didn't get a chance to see slavery abolished. A lot of them, they died in slavery. They worked them to death. But yet at the same time, we are the products. You know, we come years later and here we are supposed to be quasi-free. And yet too many of us don't realize that because we've been led astray And because our minds have been taken from us, and because we don't want this kind of stuff, we're going to die. We're going to leave this earth, people that are in a quagmire, all twisted up, all entangled. And if you're an older person, I keep saying this, and I'm going to say it till I leave this earth. The youth have their role to play. But because of what you've been through and what I've been through, we ought to be the ones leading, because we're older. We've been there, done that. And because many of us don't have that ideology, we sit back and wait for some savior to come and clear the skies and say, this is ridiculous.
Right. I'm going to read a comment right quick.
Okay.
And Sharon Simpson Anderson, she said, great leaders all know how to delegate as well as find the best to bring out the best in their organization. I appreciate that comment, sister. And Richard D. Mitchell said, referring to schools as we complain about the educational system, I don't believe everyone is stable enough to stand against the school. I believe this is something that will be a process and will take considerable time. Mm-hmm. So in the meantime, it is up to us as parents and as a community to make sure we are teaching our kids. But these kids still need to support of these people willing to give and donate. So at least while they are in schools, they can have what they need. This is a long comment, brother. Mm-hmm. I didn't know it because I had to hit see more. He say, need to at least be comfortable and take some of the stress off of parents who are doing what they can just to put food on the table and keep a roof on lights on. You talk about poverty. This is the reality in our communities. A hungry kid can't concentrate and be productive. That will try to feed themselves. Now, what you're talking about, Brother Mitchell, and I appreciate that, you're talking about conditions that is created. Mm-hmm. Like I said, poverty kills dreams. Mm-hmm. We are, those are killers in our neighborhood, mm-hmm. right? And someone else is controlling that. So if we as a people want to do something about it, something that Confucius said, Chinese philosopher, he said, sometimes the road isn't about the destination. Sometimes it's about the journey. I may start on this road, but it's not for me to be at the end. I may never see it come to fruition, all the things that I'm talking about, the liberation of our people. Right. But I still have to start on that road to be able, and yeah, do what you got to do, but understand that we can do a lot more. Mm-hmm. We can do a lot more than we are doing, because sending our kids to the schools that's out there to poison their minds a lot and lies and things like that is what's killing our leaders in the future. And then we're going to be in the same place 20 years from now. And people are going to be talking about we have no leaders or even less leaders in our community.
Yeah. And you're right, because, some of the things the brother said is spot on. But, the pushback on some of it is just this. We've been in this country for at least 400 years or more. And my thing is, we weren't even allowed to go to the same institutions or so-called learning institutions with Europeans or white people. Right. So we had to develop our own. And so then when we integrated, I should say, we went back into their ideologies. So why would you want a child to be sitting in a place that's screwing their mind up? And when they get out of school and they graduate, they can't read, they can't write, they can't think, they don't know business, they don't know how to do what they need to do for themselves to own their own businesses and learn what's going on. So to me, that's something that we need to look at, because we can't continue to say, just keep doing the same thing over and over again. We have to make a change. And that's what leadership is about. It's about saying, we've been doing this for a long time. You see it's not working. Like you mentioned, voting. We see it's not working. So what do? Do we continue to do the same thing and complain about it? Or do we say, we're going to do something different so that at least we can see that we're controlling whatever we're trying to do, and we're the ones that's in the position to make sure that our babies don't come out of a 12th grade system that they don't even know their names.
Right. And then we'll send our kids to these public schools, but when that road is being built, like you do it with the Liberation Academy, we don't support it. No. So if you're not supporting it, then I don't want to hear about you doing what you got to be doing, because you can do something. Yeah, these kids at the Liberation Academy with that we're doing on our own, they could be hungry, but we're not. We're worried about everything in the system. And the system is providing us. And that's what I'm saying. The system becomes our leader. Right. So you take out the powerful leaders in our community, then who becomes our leader? Who becomes our daddy? The government. Right. And everything the government does become our daddy. And what's part of what the government is doing is making our kids hungry. Wow. They're creating the poverty in our community. That's right. So if you're not in that revolutionary mindset of changing things, then you can't just say, well, I got to do what I got to do.
And when you really challenge us as a people, when we're talking about leadership and being misled, the main goal that all of us should be looking at is the survival of our people. And how can our people survive when they're being fed all of this garbage, this intellectual garbage, this social garbage? They're all the things that our children are being taught that's really detrimental to their growth and upbringing, their maturity. We're still saying that we still think that they're going to learn when they're not. They're not in an environment, man. I can sit here all I want to and say I want to be an athlete or a football or basketball player. I got to get my butt out there. I got to lift weights. I have to study. I have to learn how the game is played. We don't know how the game of life is played. That's why we keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting some kind of miraculous miracle where our children are going to go through an educational system that doesn't even teach them the survival skills that they need and think they're going to turn out and help the world.
So if those kids having to go to school, and I understand that, like I say, they're sending them to the public school, it has to be something built in our community that's going to inspire and motivate them. You have to, that's a negative that they're learning. You have to bring a positive into the picture. They have to see a positive somewhere in their life. If it's not at home, the parents may not be there. They're having to work all the time, or they may just have bad parenting, or it has to be in the community. Right. So those that can must.
Right. And
you become a leader. You don't have to have a bunch of followers. And like Richard said, lead by example. Then go out there and get your hands dirty. And I'm not talking about my brother. I'm talking about we as a people. We have to go out there and get our hands dirty and be willing to start working. We have to start.
And this is why you mentioned, what do we do to a people that have been led astray? This is exactly what we're talking about. Because if you've been misled and you're led astray and you're out in the cold, as long as no one is there to help you or to teach you or to show you, you're going to stay out in the cold. So what we're saying is we're giving you the blanket. We're giving you the home. We're giving you the jacket. We're giving you the sweater. We're giving you things that you can put on so that you won't be as cold. But a lot of people say, I'm cold. I don't want this. I'm going to stay in the cold. I'm going to complain. It's cold out here. Well, put on a jacket. I don't want that. Put on a coat. I don't want that. Go in the house. I don't want that. So they stay in the cold, and then they want to complain about the cold and not do anything about it, because a poor leader may say, you're okay. Don't worry about it. You look great. Yeah. But a good leader is going to say, you know what? Here's something that you can put on so that you're warm. But unfortunately, the mindset of many of us, because we've gone through the public educational system. Listen, I've been to elementary school. I've been to high school. I've been to a college and all this nonsense. And I had to go back and reteach myself everything that I'm talking about now. And it crushed me. But one guy told me when we were arguing and debating in Indiana, he says, you don't even know what you're talking about. He told me to go back. It was an old wise guy. He said, go back and research and you'll find out what I'm saying is true. And I was angry with him, but he was right. I had to go back and relearn, brother, the very things that I need now to survive.
And the same thing happened with me. And I told people this before. The degrees that I have, they are basically meaningless to me.
Right.
But while I was trying to obtain those degrees, I was in the library at colleges, and I had a plethora of books everywhere that I could learn from. And the things that I learned on my own during those times I was just visiting the library, I wasn't trying to learn about my physics or my poli-sci.
Right.
They giving me that in my class. I was getting books and I was learning information, and that it empowered me. I'm gonna say that it empowered me. It woke me up. The things that I was learning on my own because I had access. Some of our people don't have access.
Wow.
So, and that's a problem that we have to correct. Someone told me, they said their grandmother told them, a young fool becomes an old fool. and it reminds me, and when they told me that, I said, yeah, in most cases they do, but it reminded me of the laws of inertia. Objects at rest will remain at rest unless acted upon by outside force. Objects in motion will remain in motion unless acted upon by outside force. You'll remain a fool unless something changes that. Something outside of you, somebody outside of you, like you said, that guy told you, man, you don't know, and somebody, then that made outside of you. If not, you're going to continue on that course you're going, talking the way you're talking, doing the things you're doing. But if you're going to do that, something outside of you has to change something. It sparks something, inspire something, motivate something, or you're going to continue on that course unless something acted upon.
It's just like the community. The community is at rest, and the community is terrible. But yet, and I don't mean terrible as far as the people, but I mean the condition that you're talking about that we're in. But who's going to say, let's do something about the community? Let's start something that's going to help teaching these kids and doing other things, as opposed to trying to be involved in sending them back to a place that you're going to give them books, you're going to give them paper, you're going to give them pencils, you're going to give them backpacks, and all that's fine and dandy, but you're sending them right back into that burning house that we're talking about. But because the mind is so messed up, we should want to disengage with that, tear that down, and start our own, man.
All right. I want to read a comment off of the YouTube live. Mashawanda Royal said, leadership starts within. We shouldn't be looking for that in someone else. And I appreciate that. And that's true. I mean, we have to start looking within. We have to start developing. Now, one thing that happened in the history of our people, we have to look at it. One thing early on when we got out of slavery, the church used to be the leader of our community. Now, however you feel about the religion, the church, but one thing that they did do, because you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater, is they instill morals and ethics. The ethics are things that are written down and a code that you must abide by. And our people had code and ethics, and they got that from, now the other stuff, that's on them, but I'm saying if you're going to take that away, then you have to replace it and still have codes and morals. You know, you can't just say, okay, I don't believe in, I'm atheist, whatever, and you say this, but you got to have something that's going to replace those ethics and those morals. We are growing up in the people that are losing their morals, losing their ethics. We complain about how these kids act and the things they do and how the respect that they're losing, but we're responsible. Basically, we're responsible. If you're not getting it from somewhere, it's going to be running astray. We're going to be astray.
And that's true, because leadership comes from within, but unfortunately many of us don't have anything within us to bring out. And this is why it's very important that we do what we need to do as far as practicality, studies, research, investigation. This stuff is not just going to come out of the sky. And like you said, to your point, back then the church was about something, because they didn't care what you believed. If you were black, they would hang. So now, because everybody now thinks that we have arrived, the church in many instances has been watered down to where now it's a fashion show, it's an entertainment center, it's a song fest. And most of us that go to these places when we want to have these kind of discussions, they don't want to be involved with us because they have been told by a so-called leader that you and I are the enemy, and they don't even know who the real enemy is.
Right. So I appreciate the comments. So what must happen to change it? And the thing is, like Brother Richard, I know he used to be a football coach. And my thing is, whatever your talents are, whatever it is you believe that you can do, play your part. The leadership of our people needs to be the community. We have to create a great community, because that has been an obstacle for many of our dreams, our communities. And we look at our communities, look around, everyone has a part to play. You don't need somebody to call you to help you go up to the school and feed those babies that you're talking about.
Right.
Put something on their lunch tab, or do whatever you need to do. You don't have to have someone lead you to speak to the brother or the sister when they're walking by you in public and, say hotep, salam, whatever you want to say. How you doing, brother? How you doing, sister? Give them a nod or whatever. We have to change our conditions.
That's true.
And that will lead us in the right direction.
Yeah, it's about 1:59. I mean, I don't know if you want to go overtime. I know in basketball, football, overtime is a good thing, but I keep forgetting. They say that after so many minutes, the mind shuts down.
And we don't want to take up too much of your time. You have anything you want to leave them with?
I just want to say that we may come back next week and do a part 2 to this, and we maybe do something else, but I want you to continue to listen to this broadcast, because this brother here is a person that I know is a bona fide leader, because he's always giving solutions and challenges, and he wants us to grow. This broadcast is about that, and I want you to tell people about the broadcast, because we talk about hard-hitting subjects that a lot of people don't touch, and when they do touch it, they touch it from a distance. We go right in on it. So I want to encourage everybody to continue to exercise your mind, and don't let anyone take advantage of your mind just because you've been doing something for a long time, and do the best that you can for what you have to be better.
And come on our YouTube page, like our page. We'll be able to do more things if we have the followers or whatever. Follow our page, and YouTube and things like that work on algorithms. So if you want to talk about leadership, someone looking up something on leadership on YouTube, if we have a certain amount of likes on there, then our show or our videos will move up to scale, and they will be able to see it. And if we don't have it, then it's going to be 1,000. We don't like to do research. We like to just go there, click on one or two things, and think we Facebook philosophers and things like that. We know all the problems because we heard one or two, and we're letting some of these idiots control our minds, because we'll click on something and that lazy research that we do, and a lot of people that have good things to say, we don't listen to and follow those. So like the broadcast, ask other people, let them know about it. And we're starting off now. This is only the third show, but we will get better.
Oh yeah.
We will be stronger, and we have no choice, because this is our goal.
All right. We're going to get out of here. So, we have a little outro music. We're going to play it for you. And we really appreciate you taking the time out to watch this broadcast. On behalf of Kev, I'm Ja. Thank you for watching the Ja and the Kev show.
And one more thing, if y'all want to suggest topics, we have an email page. And I know last show we couldn't remember it at the moment, but it's jakevshow@gmail.com. And if you have you say, man, I want to hear y'all brothers talk about this, or let's tackle this topic, and this may inspire you to call in, because this is something that, and we'll look at the topics, and we'll do that. We're fluid like that.